Well, we're getting closer and closer to the Cheltenham Festival now, and I spend a lot of time in the weeks, the months preceding the festival looking at the Bloodstock angles to try and get a little bit of a different edge to my betting throughout the week of Cheltenham. Now, this is a very varied view when you look at Bloodstock and the Cheltenham Festival. It's not just as it might seem. It's not about the hype sires, the likes of Walk in the Park and maybe even Blue Brazil. It's a very muddled landscape, and that is indicative of the results we've seen last year. 26 sires had Cheltenham Festival winners. That meant there was just one sire that had more than one winner. And we're going to come to him, that sire, as a horse, a sire to follow, essentially, in terms of this year's festival. But we must look back at last year and another edge that there was, the fact that the French-breds were so dominant. They had 13 out of the 28 winners. They also had placed horses in about 30 of their runners, and that just shows that the pendulum is swinging again to the French-breds. And this is not a new phenomenon. They've had the likes of Big Bucks and Corto Star and Barracuda back in the glory days, but the Irish breds have been very dominant in recent years as well. But it seems to be that the French are going to keep up their momentum, and that's where I'm going to begin in terms of my first Bloodstock pointer. As in the Ryanair chase, the French-breds have some serious luck. They are responsible for the last 10 winners, including Envoy Alain, who took the race in such comfortable fashion, really. He obviously has a real fondness for Cheltenham, the Cheltenham Hill. He's had 3 victories at the festival. And not only is he French-bred, his dam sire, Sire, was one of the standout sires of the festival last year. Standing at Harris de la Thiere, Sire was responsible for a national hunt chase winner in Gaia de Menil, and he was also dam sire to El Fabiolo, John Bon and Saint Roi. So there's a lot playing in the field for Envoy Alain to add to the victories for French-breds in the Ryanair chase. Moving on from just the French-breds, it's also about the stallions to note, and I touched on the one sire that had more than one winner at the festival last year, and that was the late, great Shantou. He stood at Burgage Stud for a number of years. He's now no longer with us, but his horses are still making their presence felt on the track. Last year, he was responsible for Impervious and also Stay Away Faye as winners. And Stay Away Faye will, of course, be back, and he looks like he's going to have a tough task against the likes of Factor File, but he will be likely to be Paul Nicholls' leading chance at the festival. He's laden with stamina, and that's what Shantou gives to his progeny. And I like to think that this will be a real benefit to Stay Away Faye, staying up that Cheltenham Hill, which maybe his biggest rival and Factor File might not necessarily be proven at yet. So let's see if Stay Away Faye will be able to continue on his good trajectory at Cheltenham. And it's not just about him. There's also a handicapper in there by Shantou in Chianti Classico. This horse hasn't shown himself to be at his best at Cheltenham yet. He ran poorly there last year, but I think he's a better horse now he's over bigger obstacles. He's been campaigned really nicely by Kim Bailey, and I think he might just prefer being at Cheltenham with his action over fences, showing that he's a real big stride. He gallops all the way to the line, as he showed to do at Kempton last time, where he just could not peg back Phlegmatic, who got first run on him. But as I said, it's the way he jumps that I really appreciate seeing, and I think that Shantou, again, has just given him a lot of stamina and a lot of natural jumping quality. So that's Chianti Classico and Stay Away Faye as a couple of Shantou's main hopes this year. And then finally, it's not just about the older sires, it's also about the new sires. So I spend a lot of time looking for those sires that might just be a little bit under the radar. You might not have heard of them yet. And in France, they're responsible for a multitude of new up-and-coming sires, some quite alternative careers they've had. Some of them have already jumped hurdles and then as full horses turned into stallions. And there is a sire called It's Gino. Originally was based in Germany. He was placed in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and he was responsible as an early stallion for the likes of Datzelright Gino and Layla. But now he's based in France, and he has produced some very classy-looking animals, including the hot favourite for the Triumph Hurdle, Sir Gino. He looks to be Nicky Henderson's bright hope for the Cheltenham Festival. He's clearly a horse that's got lots of talent. And the French system benefits these younger horses because they learn how to jump from a young age. And although Sergino had a brush up on his jumping, he's clearly improved immeasurably, and he's clearly got a penchant for the Cheltenham Hill as well. And it's not just about that horse Sergino. His stable companion, Impostoir, also by its Gino, might just take a lot of interest if he creeps into the county hurdle. He's got a lot of very good form from earlier this season. I thought he ran a blinder in the Lanzarote hurdle, and I think he could still be very well handicapped if he is able to get into that race at Cheltenham next week. So that's it. Those are the Bloodstock pointers for the Cheltenham Festival this year. As mentioned, look for the French-breds. They have the edge, the likes of Galopin de Champs, Lossy-Mouth, State Man. But from the Ryanair perspective, I do think Envoy Elan has got a lot going for him to take another Ryanair. Shantou, as mentioned, he had a great year last year with 2 winners. He might have more success with the likes of Stay Away Faye and Chianti Classico. And it's Gino. He will have a lot more eyes on him if the likes of Sergino and even Impostoir run well at Cheltenham.